All right, everybody, welcome to Views. I'm your boy Black. Got my boy 91 over here.
Yup.
What's going on, man?
Man, just barely 15 minutes ago finished that Kanye's. That's what's going on, man. Just barely finished it.
All right, so for this first episode, we just gonna go ahead and because this is the biggest thing in rap right now, pretty much. Kanye's been
Pretty
taking
much.
over rap for about the last month for real, doing these pop-up shows and shit, staying in arenas, and
Yup.
then
Yup.
and then coincide beefing with fucking Drake.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
that's basically what they turned this album release into, like a kind of like a beef party, like a versus, a big versus, actually.
Facts, facts, facts. So
Yeah.
basically, the whole world is looking at both albums and we pretty much comparing them to one another. But I want to get your opinion on Donda, C.L.B, whichever one comes first.
Well, I'll do it backwards since I literally just finished Donda and it's fresh, fresh, fresh.
Hmm?
CLB was all yesterday and the day before. Uh, let's do that. Let's start with Donda.
All right, let's go for it.
So let me see. Off the top, 27 songs. I was like, damn, that was kind of a lot. That's kind of a lot
Okay,
of songs. I
but
wish she would have broke it up.
for me on that one, I'll say
Yeah.
the fact that I think what four were repeats just with other verses.
Yeah, like five of them, huh?
Yeah,
Part
so
twos.
I wasn't really like too I was just whatever on that because it was just different verses. I mean, he could have added on original songs, but yeah,
Right.
whatever. But also, I'm not opposed to the long album because I'm tired of the short EPs.
I like I like a happy middle ground. I like a long album with content or a really, really good short album.
Mhm.
Like shit, I don't know, like Summer Walker, for instance, is somebody that comes to mind that makes really good short content. But when you have her long form, it's like, or like Two Chains, like Future, people I want to hear like real quick and get the fuck out.
Okay, okay, for sure.
But like this is like the complete opposite of this. This is like I'm gonna give you the behind the scenes. I'm gonna give you the song. I'm gonna give you what I thought I was gonna put on the song, and then I'm gonna give you like some extra verses here and there.
Mhm.
So it was kind of like a lot, a lot to process. It took me like legitimately like 2.5 days, 1.5 day to get through it, 2 days to really listen to the whole thing and digest it all. And like I said, I just really finished it the second time this time. And so I took some notes. I got like 5 songs from each album that I think are like really, really crazy.
Okay,
The first one from Kanye is Off the Grid. Like,
without a doubt.
yeah.
Hands-
Anybody tells you that's not the best song on the album was sleeping because that song is ridiculous. Like, I literally wrote it all caps with like a whole bunch of emojis next to it. Like,
Without a doubt.
yeah, that just was crazy. Like, I don't even know where to start. Like, the drill was crazy, and it was dope to hear Kanye actually rap in a different way because I've heard him like rap a little bit here and there, but he actually like went in like I couldn't copy that bar for bar if I wanted to, like just off of hearing it the first couple times. So that says it's dope to me because if I hear your bars and I'm like, oh, I kind of gets boring, but that was unexpected. Like it blew me away, it blew my girl away. Like we had to listen to it a couple times. We were like, ooh, he came different, like
This
real
the
different.
Yeah, we ain't seen this
So
Kanye.
that was probably my favorite song off the whole album. No, no, we haven't. That's the part we haven't seen this yet. So that's probably my favorite one. Uh, Off of that, Pure Souls was a really good one. Let me see. Jesus Lord was a good one. Part one, part
Mhm.
two, part one was good though
Part
because
one,
I think
yes.
I think what messed it up for me, his part twos, was if I already heard the full intense song the first time, hearing it the second time kind of takes it away from me unless you do something drastically different.
That was the whole part two issue with me. Like I listened to the extra verses, but I didn't listen to the part twos outside of that.
Right, right. Like I think he should have like did some different beat drops or like like something instrumental or something different. Like okay, then I could follow your part two or just mash it together, like make it one long song. I'm okay with that.
Right.
I could deal with that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's this format that's fucking Kanye up because he really had like a good 19 songs, really.
Mm-hmm.
But so there's that one. Keep My Spirits Alive was really dope. It was definitely different. But I think the one that caught me was Believe What I Say.
Okay.
That one was different. It was different because like the sample he chose obviously was a really clear Lauryn Hill sample.
Hmm.
He didn't change it that much, but the way he used it was interesting.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's hard for me to say we've had sample Kanye in a while, so that song kind of stands out for me.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And like even when he does sample, his samples are so obscure, you wouldn't
Hmm.
be able to be like, oh, I hear it. Like that
I,
was from this song, whatever. Like you have to
hmm
literally do the data, look it up, and see, oh, he got this snare from
From such
this,
and
and he
such.
translooped it from yeah. So like that's kind of also like I like that he came different.
Hmm.
It was he like used the sample super basic, but he made it kind of crazy because like I had to listen to it, I think 2 or 3 times just to really like, I like that. It's cool. It's different. It's definitely different.
I feel you.
He said Kanye came different with this one. I think I don't know if it's because he was trying to go against Drake or if that's just the marketing for the album, but I feel like when he put it together, he kind of made a couple points in there where he could like sit on in a battle or sit on in a okay, this is my album, and then all the rest were just kind of like his thoughts, feelings, and emotions and
Hmm.
shit that he wanted to get out. I think
Okay,
like
okay.
fucking remote control. I listened to that one a few times. And the reason I listened to it a few times, one, because I liked it. It was a good song, but also because Soldier Boy was supposed to be on it. I heard.
Yeah, all the
Some
people upset about the missing
somebody heard.
verses or missing
Yeah.
vocals and shit. Yeah.
So I think also along with that being a little bit of marketing, because of course you're going to go back to that song and like, oh, where could he fit in? Where could this person go on this song? Because that's what I was looking for.
Hmm.
I listened to the song first time. I was like, oh, this is a dope song. And then I saw the Soldier Boy rant, so I went back and listened to it again. I'm like, where
Where
would I
would you
put
have
Soldier
gone?
Boy? Yeah, like
Right.
there's no space for him.
Right.
So, well, and that's like the old Soldier Boy. I don't know what Soldier Boy now raps like. So, but I don't
Same.
see any room. I don't see any room for him on that song. Like it was kind of perfect without him. So now I listen to it again. I'm like, Soldier, shut up,
it's
shut
it's
up,
the
Soldier Boy.
it's the same kind of Soldier Boy from 5 years ago, so I wouldn't really worry about
Nah, so then he has no room. He has no room unless he's coming in with some really interesting flows and like some like something different. He not gonna get it. And
He's good for
like
what he does, but he's not good on a Ye album, in my opinion.
nah, like that takes some really good production. Like
Correct.
you'd have to really, really get in there and thoroughly like mix up some vibes because you got one dude on this side and one dude on this side, and they both crazy.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know if they would mesh very well,
Okay.
but
So
yeah, I
you
think those are my standouts.
so you had your standout songs for Donda.
Yeah.
We won't go into your overall. We'll compare the two afterwards. What about Certified Lover Boy?
Man, okay, so I obviously like this album way better. It's way more, it has more playability and all that stuff, but we'll get to that later. My standouts from this one, I only have a couple standouts, which maybe because the album is shorter, but I think these songs like said enough, so I don't really need that many more. My first one, and this might be just a me thing, Knife Talk.
Okay.
Knife Talk with 21 Savage.
Hmm.
21 Savage for me is a cheat code. Whatever he's on, to me, if it's done right, slaps. And it's like done right 9 out of 10 times.
Okay.
Like this, the song, it just has a nice bounce to it. It has like a crazy playability to it. You can listen to it in the club, you listen to it before you go to the club, whatever. And then as soon as 21 dropped, I was like, take the headphones off. This is done. It's a wrap. Hang it up, Kanye. Like, I don't see you coming. So if I had to compare that one with Off the Grid, I think I like Off the Grid a little bit more because it's really different and that's how I like my music. But I don't think Kanye can stand up to the other ones I'm about to say when they came up, like Poppy's Home. It's like disrespectfully humble. And I like that. I like when Drake is in that pocket. When Drake is in that pocket of like, I'm the shit and you're not going to tell me nothing. And he raps,
Mhm.
that's the Drake I like. I don't like the like keep sweat begging Drake. Like I don't need that. I don't need that in my life. He doesn't sing well enough to me to do R&B like that.
Okay.
So if you don't sing well enough to do R&B, if you can't carry a tune and really like serenade, I don't need you doing that really. Like I like the R&B vibes that he chose for this like song selection and stuff like that, but just do your Drake thing over, just rap. I skipped like a few songs just because he was doing too much of the singing. And I blame Pharrell for that. I don't blame Pharrell for much, but I blame him for that because like he made it okay for people like that couldn't sing to sing with fronting. It's one of my favorite songs ever in the history of music
Oh no,
because of a
that
lot of reasons.
vocally is terrible.
But it's yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Like he made it okay for if you got squeaky voice, you can't really sing. Fuck yeah, just do it. Just do it. It's not okay. And that's not the best advice for
Side note,
singing.
side note. I don't know if you
Yeah,
listened to the Joe Budden podcast on Saturday,
I
but
didn't yet. I didn't yet.
Parks brings up the fact that in because Ja Rule is doing the verses. I forget against who, but
Mm-hmm.
what's the song? Every little thing that we do. He said, so no, not that one, not that one, not that one. It's another song. I have to figure it out. But one of the he was like, yo, what was the pianist doing in there? I'm gonna pull it up later so we can
Okay.
hear it. And yeah, just us two as producers. Like once you actually listen to it, I was rolling my ass off while I was driving. I was
Yeah.
laughing because this shit's hilarious.
And he would know. Parks definitely would be the person to
Yeah, he's
point
a
out
big engineer.
some shit like that. So yeah, he probably was definitely even maybe there when they did
But
it.
yeah, so okay, so that's your take. So you done with your takes
Yeah.
on those two?
Let me see. So Poppy's Home, another one that like I think needs to be talked about. TSU.
Mm,
Like
eh,
listen to it
eh.
again. Listen to it again with like the mindset of like what is he who's he talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Because when I like first heard it, I was like, oh, this is cool, but it sounded like, more Drake, it's cool, it's cool. It didn't stand out. But then when I listened to it again, I was like, oh, he snuck in some sneaky bars that are like pointy jabs at people that I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But I just like how he laid it out. He told a really interesting story with that song. So I think he took like a kind of like a almost like a Rick Ross approach with the way he laid out the picture and he painted it. Like he made you really be like, oh, okay, I'm there with you, and I could see what you're saying. I see
Mm-hmm.
her right there, and I know why you're giving her that money. It makes a lot of sense, like it was dope. So that one, and I think the other one I would put up if I had to pick like a 505, I would pick like No Friends in the Industry. That one was really interesting too, and that was again like a little bit of more Drake, but a little bit like amped up. Like someone was talking shit to him before he recorded it, and I like that Drake.
Okay. Okay. So overall, you got C.L.B. over Donda hands down.
I wouldn't say yeah. Okay, yeah, yeah. But it's like it's kind of like it's not because C.L.B. is necessarily better. It's because Donda didn't do things right to me, and that's like kind of hard to say because I'm not Kanye. Like who am I?
Mm-hmm.
But as a consumer, Drake made his album way more consumable.
Mm-hmm.
Like first off the top, like Donda Chant, like when I
Okay.
listened to
Yeah,
the
you
whole
skipped number
I listened
one.
to the whole
I
thing.
did not. I did not.
I couldn't do that because I was like, okay, I gotta know what this is about. And so I listened to the whole literally every single song all the way through twice. so I'm listening to Donda Chant and like you first hear it a couple times, you're like, okay, cool, Donda, 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 Donda. But then like 3 minutes of that, it gets kind of like you kind of anxious, and I'm like, I start like taking my shirt off. I'm like, I don't
Where
like this.
is
This is
the
it's
fucking song?
uncomfortable. Exactly, it's uncomfortable.
I hear you. I hear you.
But I think honestly that was very intentional. I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he wanted to invoke some type of feeling in you, which he did. I just
No,
don't think the feeling that I got is the feeling that he wanted you to get. Because I'm sure like nothing happens on accident, especially with Kanye and like his team and his production team. Like I don't think they
oh,
just
they put the whole thing together in a
mm-hmm.
way. He thought this out. He didn't just put this album out.
Right.
Like whereas I feel like that might have been the process with things with like Pablo and things like that. I don't think
Yes.
this was just put out. But for me on these, because
Oh, Pablo hate.
you have the typical you have the typical opinion of what I believe most people feel when it comes to C.L.B. versus Donda. And most people, and it's not necessarily because one album is better than the other. Like me, when I went
Right.
into this and I listened to them for what they were. They're two different albums. Drake's going to give you a straight rap album,
Yeah.
and Kanye
Yeah.
was trying to give you something a little different on the gospel side, right? So for me, I looked
Yeah.
at it
Yeah. Yeah.
totally different. And for me, Donda is the better album. Producer
Okay.
wise, everything. Like just simply based on production and everything else. Like
Yeah.
the way it was put together. You know what I'm saying? You talked about a song like,
Huh.
of course, best song off of there is Off the Grid, hands down. I'm a
Yeah, that's
Fabio fan. I'm a Fabio fan,
Fabio is
right?
cool. Fabio's
But
cool. I'm loose on Fabio, but all right, he's cool. He's cool. He's cool.
but okay, so I'm in the middle of my mom is moving, so I'm in the middle of moving stuff. So I'm like, cool, I've got time to sit here and listen to these, put in my ear pods, and we'll listen to this album. And
Right.
so I'm listening. Jail comes on. I forget what track number 3 is, but then
Going to
Off the Grid
yeah.
come Jail, and I love Jail, like the way it's put together, how it is. You know what I'm saying?
Part
I
one or
wish
part two?
both.
Okay. 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 Okay.
I wish they would have put it together as one track, of course, but
Yes,
I
that's
love
where I'm
both.
going.
Right,
Right.
like
Okay.
sonically, that shit was great.
It's definitely different for sure.
And then Off the Grid comes on, and I'm hearing Playboy Cardi, and I like Playboy Cardi, so I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And then the
Yeah.
beat transitions to that drill so smooth,
Yeah, that was
how it
nasty.
comes in, and then I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, where are we going with it? And then you hear Fabio, and I'm like, oh, we on another wave. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so what I will say
Womp, womp,
is,
womp, womp.
for me, it was like a double disc. And the first half of the album, I loved.
Okay.
I loved
Okay.
hands down. The second part of what I would do, it wasn't as good as the first part, but I still like it. Like, because as a producer, sonically, the album just sounded great to me. It all meshed, it
Yeah.
all made sense. I wasn't going into Kanye looking for lyricism. I wasn't going into Kanye looking for him to tell me something. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Okay.
he's trying to provide us a little gospel. Like,
Yeah.
I've never looked at Kanye and said, yo, this man is top 5 dead or alive when it comes to bars. So
Okay.
I'm not
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
to expect that.
Yeah.
Right. And so, like I said, so when it comes to Certified Lover Boy, right, we
All
had this
right.
huge rollout. We had the billboards. We had your such and such is on C.L.B. everywhere. And so the hype is there, right? Like, he was supposed to drop the album last year, didn't get dropped. There was a leak
Right.
earlier this year where there's a couple songs from the leak actually on this album.
Yep. I
And
got that leak myself. I
and
got one last
so,
week too. That was some other shit. We'll talk about that later.
but we're looking at it and you're looking at the hype, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready. We get the
Mm.
album cover, and I'm like, this is the most corniest shit I've ever seen. But
It's minimalistic to like the super T. I hate it.
right, but it does what Drake has done his last few albums, right? Where they're like meme worthy, right? Because it gets people talking, it keeps people engaged in his album. Like, you look at the Nothing
Yeah.
Was the Same with his head in the clouds, people had the little memes with their heads in the clouds and shit like that. If you're reading This Is Too Late, like, people with the writing on their shit, you know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
and then you look at this cover, you got fucking Little Nas X doing little bullshit with his cover, and everybody else. So it's meme worthy. So I get it. It's supposed to bring up the publicity, but for me, that means, okay, you're setting me up with hype, right? So I gotta love this album because this shit got a bang from track 1 to track whatever the ending track is, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm looking at Drake's last album, and I'm like, it was, for me, what was his last album? Views? No. He has some little
No.
bullshit in between, like
got you.
dark
I
tapes
got
and
you.
stuff, but I don't really count dark tapes.
I'll give you his discography right now.
More
Hold up.
Life,
I'm pulling it up. Spotify. So
Dark Lane tape,
Scorpion.
Scorpion.
Yeah, Scorpion was his last album. Dark Lane tapes. I think they classify as like a mixtape, some shit. But yeah, 2018 was his last album.
Okay, so Scorpion is definitely the one then.
That's the one.
So there were some songs on there, right? So you had Scorpion, and then what I would say, probably, I wouldn't classify More Life as an album either. I think they classified that as like a playlist.
I think it was.
And then Views, right? But I look at those and I'm like, all of his latest stuff, when it dropped, it didn't really hit. Like, it was like, because it was Drake, we listened to it, but it didn't really hit. And what made it stand out was the challenges behind it. You had the little Kiki challenge, people hopping out the car doing the dances and stuff.
Yeah, the Kiki. Yeah.
The Views album cover, like I said, people like posting, doing the whole meme thing with the album cover. So it kind of kept it cool, but it was never really about the music. It was about the
That's interesting.
challenges.
That's an interesting take. That's an interesting take on that. Because
So
no, go ahead, finish. And I wanted to expand on like Drake's albums,
uh,
how they don't hit originally, but they grow. Like that's
they,
actually, you brought up a super good point on that.
well, I mean, because like, so for me, when it came to this album, right, and I listened to it, so I waited all night, and I had to work early in the morning, and I have nothing to do but listen to stuff. So I listen to pods, I listen to music. So I was waiting for it. I'm up. We about to pop on this Drake. Put in both headphones. I'm getting in work. Track 1, 2. I'm like, okay, a little introspective type Drake. He getting his little bars off. I'm like, okay. Let's transition this. Then we get into the track with Lil Baby. I didn't feel it. And granted, I'll say I'm not the biggest Lil Baby fan. So don't, but it's not because of his bars, it's because sonically, I just feel like it doesn't hit me right.
I feel it.
So okay, so I'm thinking to myself, like, maybe I'm a little biased on this. So we'll just keep listening. Track 4, we get to track 5. I'm like, ugh. And it's not until we get to track 6 with Travis Scott where I'm like, okay, now we're getting somewhere. Because even then on the track with Travis, I'm still like, I'm kind of on the fence until Travis comes in and the beat kind of changes a little bit. And I'm like, okay, now we're getting a little hype here. And then we get Way Too Sexy, which first time listening, it didn't really hit for me. And I know most people, that's going to be most people's reaction, right? Because it's kind of a corny type song. But after listening to it again and again, I was like, okay, if I'm in the club, I can get with this. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm listening, and the more I listen and the more I listen to this album, like there are songs that stand out, like you said, like Knife Talk. Like I love when rappers bring in Project Pat, because I feel like he's a super underrated artist in the game. So I love when people when you bring him in. And you said 21 Savage is like a cheat code. I was somebody who didn't like 21 when he first got big, but then like listening to him, and as I'm listening to him, I'm like,
okay.
I
was gonna say, I gotta play you like 3 songs, just 3.
No,
and make anybody like him.
I rock with 21 now, but like at first I was just kind of like, and then like all of a sudden I was like, I rock with this dude. So when you got songs like that, like I can roll with that. And then you have the, you know, the typical 7 a.m. on, I can't remember the name, but I love that. I love that song because he's addressing stuff, you know what I'm saying? So it's actual rap, you know what I'm saying? He's addressing Kanye. And then I love the track with him, Ross, and Wayne, where he's addressing Swiss Beats. Like that to me. And what he did in that song right there, that's the type of shit I get from Kanye, right? Like I don't know whose idea it was. I don't know who sat there and really mixed it. I haven't looked it up, but the fact that they decided to input "Oh You Fancy, Huh" into the beat, integrated into the song, that's the part of musicianship that I love. So when you do that little shit like that sets the track off, putting the filter on there so it sounds like it does on the break for your fancy song, bruh.
That's that 40 is like, well, I can't give 40 all the credit, but he's an interesting character, and I want to give him some credit because every single Drake album that I listen to, he has something interesting that he's done sonically, like not even Drake excluded. Just listening to the music as a producer, he does some crazy stuff, like how he takes it. He like made that underwater sound popular.
Yes, he did.
And then also what he'll do is he'll take you somewhere else. Like he'll take you like how when Travis Scott's come on, his bass is very recognizable. He takes you kind of like into this outer space, wonky Texas type of. Drake will do that. Well, or 40 will do that. He'll take you to Toronto. He'll take you wherever you want to go with his music. And it's really interesting how he does it, because he does it in like super simple ways. Like you said, he'll use the sample of the person that we're talking about right now. Let me catch your attention with that, because you know that sound. Well, let me flip it. Let me just flip it a little bit. And 40 is like crazy at that. I really want to pick somebody's brain. I want to pick his brain because he not only works with Drake, he works with Drake's 30,000 producers. I know you sent the producer list I sent you, right? Like it's like what, like 7 producers or 8 producers on the list, and it's like 10 writers. That's crazy. I don't even want to work with that many people ever. But if you can, if you can do that and you pull everything together and you get all the sauce that they all give you, and then Drake spits it out and it comes out like that, that's crazy.
And that's what I give Drake,
That's
like
crazy.
at the end of the day, and the OVO team, because at the end of the
The
day, like
team, yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here and act like, okay, we know Kanye, we know Consequences writing for Ye. We know there's plenty of people writing for Ye. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So
Hold
I'm
on. Who do you
not.
think wrote for Ye on that drill beat though? You think Cons did that?
I don't
Because that
know.
was different. That
I
was
don't know.
different. I think Fabio. I'm not gonna give Fabio writing credit because I don't know how good of a writer he is. I'm not super sold on Fabio. I'm like right here on Fabio.
Nah,
Um,
I don't think it's
but
great. I don't
he
think it's.
came different. So I don't even know if Cons was even in the room. Like I feel like Cons was somewhere else getting his veneers done because Kanye on that one?
He snapped, but we know he didn't write it.
No, no, no.
Yeah. So
But he performed it, so I'll give him credit because I didn't see that coming from him, like you said, because I don't look at him like a lyricist. I don't look at him as someone's going to bar you down. So when he did start barring, I was like, ooh.
And that's what I like. So when it comes to Kanye, I mean not to Kanye, to Drake,
Yeah.
I who cares? The whole Meek Mill beef with you know, Quentin Miller, he's not writing his own. Who cares? He does it
Right.
right. Like it sound, and I know this personally as being a former rapper. Sometimes something just sounds better coming out of somebody else. It just
Yeah.
does.
Sometimes,
So
yeah.
so you know, the fact that they could put all that stuff together is great, but I don't deem this album great. I just don't. I feel like if I were to give it a rating, and this isn't comparing it to Kanye, if
Yeah,
I'm
just in
giving it a
general.
rating in
Mm-hmm.
general, it's probably a 6.5. And I'm someone who was a Drake fan back in '07.
Yeah, I won't
So
argue with you on that one. That's accurate.
yeah.
I will say that it's more listener friendly than Donda.
Mm-hmm.
I can't necessarily, like you said, say it's better because
It's
they're different.
definitely more
It's
listener
different.
friendly.
It's like you say, apples and oranges. Is I can't
Mm-hmm.
compare like a Fiat to a Ferrari, and I'm not gonna say who's the Fiat or who's the Ferrari, but
Mm-hmm.
but like
Two different styles, two different lifestyles.
definitely. And I also think like I need a little bit more time for him to grow
Mm-hmm.
because like you brought up this point earlier about Drake, but I kind of feel a little bit differently, but almost the same about like you do. For me, Drake albums never hit the first weekend. It's like a haircut. Like you get that haircut, like a new haircut, you get that haircut, and you're like, I don't know how I feel about it. And then you sit with it for like a day or two. And then you're like, oh, I kind of like this. And you sit with it for like a week. You're like, oh, this shit looking kind of okay. I like it. That's how I feel about Drake. Like the first listen is cool, but as I go through like listening Drake, like actively and passively, doing different things, driving or whatever, different modes, I'm in different settings myself. Drake hits differently. And like Views, for instance, was the perfect album to talk about like that. Cause like when Views first came out, I was like, oh, this shit is trash. Like, and that's also why I don't call stuff trash really anymore because I hated it when it first came out. First week, I was like, shit is done. Like, I don't want to listen to it. I listened to it again.
And then
One of my friends played it for me. And then like I want to say my girl Aurelie, she played it for me in a different like setting. And different things happen. I listened to it and I'm like, okay. And I started digesting it more. And that shit grew on me. And it's actually like one of my favorite pieces of work that he put out because it grew. It like had time to really sit on me. And I think this album is kind of gonna do that the same. Because I was like looking for, like you, I was looking for more of an impact. Because like you said, it's been built up for like a year. Been seeing the billboards, been seeing all this other stuff. And like I wanted more. Like Too Sexy is a perfect example of more. I wanted more.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a Future fan. Like anybody that knows me personally will tell you I hate Future. Like I would fight him. I would fight him for a lot of reasons, mostly because he fucks up music. But I will tell you this:
whoa.
Yes, he is the worst rapper ever. Like he makes great music, but he shouldn't rap on it.
That's a debate for another day because
we gonna have like a 3 hour long debate.
I always say when all else fails, throw on some Future.
The music, yeah, but him, if I can hear the acapella, I'm good. But Future comes on, I'm like, like throw the headphones because he doesn't do anything for me. Like I feel like he should do more. But anyways, like for this song specifically, Too Sexy. I hear the song, and I'm like, okay, you know, but I didn't think it was corny. Actually, I thought it was really creative, but I wanted to go further with it. Cause like when you see the visual for Too Sexy, it's a dope visual.
That's what you want. Yeah,
it's a dope visual. And like it definitely helps. But when I just heard the song, I was like, and then Future came on with his, and I was like, all right, is he gonna rap or is he gonna just like
nah,
he just kind of and I was like, okay, so Future's not gonna rap, that's cool, he'll just do the hook.
He going Future.
But I wanted him to do more because like he could have Dirty Sprited me a little bit because at least with Dirty Sprite, he gave you some stuff. He gave you some melodies. He gave you some bars. He gave you a little bit of some stuff that people like from Future. I don't personally like it from Future, but I know people like it, and I expected him to give me more. And then like even Young Thug, because Young Thug usually like will take a song, take it over like Travis Scott does, and make it his own song. He didn't do that either. So I feel like both of those two is kind of softballed it to Drake. They're just like soft pitched it to him. It's like, yo, you got the names for the features on the song, but you didn't really get the real rap like I wanted, because they could have did way better with that song. Like I'm not even going front. They could have did way more with that song.
I hear you, and that's where I say like, and that's where my argument kind of comes in at, right? Because the video itself, the visual, it's a
crazy,
it's so mean, but it makes you enjoy
crazy.
the song more, right? The fact that Kawhi is in there, the one we know with no personality, like you know what I'm saying? They all on the sand dancing like a boy band. You know what I'm saying? Like the video brings out the personality, which makes it memeable. You know what I'm saying? Which and to your point, views. I still to this day, I'm not a big fan of views. There are certain songs on views that I love, but I'm not a big fan of views. And what we learned is, and you and I both know this at this point, is if something gets played enough, you'll like it.
Except for me with Future, but yeah. But yeah, you're right. You got it. Like it'll start to get caught in your head.
My biggest example of that is I was always the hugest Wiz Khalifa fan, listening since like 07, 08.
Yeah.
And once he got his major deal, it was Black and Yellow. And I was like, that song is trash. But the more and more it got played, the more and more I heard it, I love that song to death. So I feel like that's what ends up happening with Drake. You know what I'm saying? Just those little things. Because I'm of the mindset, I don't think Drake's had a classic album since Nothing Was the Same. He's had albums with songs. Oh, he's had albums with songs on them.
Let me run that back. Hold on, because I'm not gonna say Views is his classic album, even though it's up there. It's good.
We could count What a Time to Be Alive.
Nah, I wouldn't count that because that's all Future based.
But after that, I would not personally say he's had a classic album.
All right. Okay. So I'm looking, and I don't know if that sounded really egregious and hella like it sounded crazy. But as I'm looking at it, okay, I'm gonna go down like you said. Dark Lane Demo tapes. It had a couple good ones, but Care Package mixtape. Scorpion. It has some pieces on it, but I don't know if I call it a classic album.
It has some good songs on it.
And then More Life, same thing. It's like a playlist. And I had to really sit with More Life for a long time. But damn, you just kind of fucked me up because you're right. Like I can't even argue with you right now because I'm looking at the list. Like
now, if someone
you're reading this, it's too late.
It's not for me. It has great songs on there. Don't get me wrong. It has some great songs on there, but it's not a classic project. And so for me, like if you want to say views, I can hear a debate, but I don't believe it. So for me, when I see all this promo for Certified Lover Boy, and I don't get, and I feel like for like the first few tracks, I got introspective Drake, and I was just like, it's okay. Is this the direction we going with for the album? Because for me, I was thinking, oh, we gonna get some real like R&B type tracks.
I was thinking that too. I wanted Party Next Door. I wanted more stuff. And
so maybe that's also a part of it too, because I also was expecting some of the rap tracks that we did get, but I was expecting more of the R&B, the Party wrote this, the Weeknd wrote this type songs, even though I don't think he's working with the Weeknd anymore.
He is probably not never going to work with him again, but I wish they would. If I could get that together, I would.
But we didn't get that. And so for me, Donda is the better project, just simply based off sonic, the way it was put together, the sound, everything. It was cohesive to me. Like it was a gospel album, sure, if you want to call it that, but it was just put together well for me.
That's interesting. Okay. I like that we have like completely opposite views. Like our our snapshot for this should be like me going like this and you going like this with me with Drake behind me, throwing up the six or something, and Kanye behind you with his Donda house, because like completely different. But it's funny because like how you said it was cohesive, I felt like it was really weird. Like it felt like to me Kanye knew he was going to put these songs on the album, but because of all the hype and the certified lover boy, whatever. And I kind of feel this way about Drake a little bit too. They kind of just rushed it and like, okay, these are tracks, cool, boom, press the button, go, send it. And I feel like maybe if they would have took another month, 2 months to the end of the summer, really just to get it down, that Donda track would have been way more cohesive. Cause I like, it's gospel inspired. It's not as gospely as his last one, which I liked. Definitely his last one. Not. Yeah. I liked his last one. I wasn't afraid of that. I liked that. And he actually caught me with the last one at a really good time when I was super heavy in church and doing music in church and all that stuff. So all that stuff was really real. I felt that. This album, I feel like he kind of took the Yeezus Kanye and he took his last Kanye and kind of like right in the middle, they got like a little
and did something. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is I'm okay with, because Yeezus is actually a really good album to me. So
I really hope he can expound on this on this work, because there was more rapping. I feel like, okay, people have a valid argument. Like Drake's album is more listenable because there's more rap. Yeah. And so like, but Kanye's album was more performative.
It has different elements to it that I think could make a better, like you said, perform like a better stage show. I can think of some really interesting visuals from his album that if you put this song with this song cutting behind it and, you know, did the lights, hell yeah, it would be a good show.
It's a great show. It's
better than
performative. Better than not C.L.B. about hearing it on the album. And whereas C.L.B., you hear that
you can play it in your car.
You can play
it in your car, you can play it in the club, but you're not gonna. And that's, I think, why I can't say one is better than the other, because you're not going to play them in the same elements. You're not going to play this Kanye. I don't think has the same replay value for me as the C.L.B. album does, just because of the elements of like sonically where it is and stuff like that. Like you're not going to be, like you say, you're going to work, you're moving around, you're doing stuff. I'm probably not going to put on that Kanye because a lot of the songs are too mellow, I'm going to put that on maybe like Sunday morning when I'm cleaning after church or whatever I'm doing. Like that's a good song for that, which isn't a bad place for music to live, because most people, Black people, our people, what we do on the weekend, morning, we at home getting that cleaning done.
Turn the music on.
Exactly. So if your album could live there, you can have a classic album, because there's a lot of Anita Baker, a lot of Earth, Wind and Fire, a lot of stuff that lives in that realm of I'm gonna put my music on and clean, which is good. But like you said, like if I had to pick what I would listen to first, I'd probably pick the Drake. Do I think they both, like you said, a 6.5? I probably would give them both about a 6.5, because I feel like they could have both expound way more. Like Kanye, he could have cut back a little bit and just made it very direct. I think that would have made his 6.5 like an 8.
I agree.
Drake, I feel like he could have expounded more. He was trying to be too cute. Like, well, okay, I'll say he's trying to be cute, but he wasn't cute enough, if that makes any sense. Like he was trying to give us R&B vibes without the
R&B.
Yes, and without the R&B acumen as well, because I thought he would bring in more singers. Like he had Giveon, I think, on one of the songs.
Yeah, Giveon and Ty Dolla $ign, and I didn't hear much from them at all. And I'm a huge Ty Dolla $ign fan.
Right. I thought Ty would take it. Like when I saw Ty as a feature, I was like, oh, okay, cool. He's gonna take this song and like give it that really like West Coast feel, make it R&B. And like you said, he used their names, but he didn't really use their vocals that much. And it's like, I don't know if he was really doing it for the look or he was doing it for the music. And that's kind of my one problem I have with Drake all the time. Whenever he takes like a patois, whenever he takes like a Afro beat, whenever he takes anything that's hot, drill music, I don't know if he's taking it because he really likes that or he knows it's hot. And he's like, oh, this is marketable. I can make it go. It's big over here. I can make it big here.
Well, whereas not to Kanye, not to go off like on a riff. But that has always been Drake's thing. If you have not noticed, Drake is always on the wave. So Drake's thing in between albums is to hop on the big artist song, be the first verse on their song, and that kind of holds his wave steady until he drops, and then he comes out. So that's always Drake, been his thing.
Drake is the neighborhood homie hopper. I would even call him wavy because wavy is cool. he's a homie hopper. And like to a certain extent, like it feels almost like extortion. And I think
Holy
that's what
shit.
I think a lot of people that don't like Drake feel that way. And I'm a fan of both of these guys. So I feel like I
I love
comfortably
them.
say
I love them
I
both.
can see, yeah, I think there's room and we need both of them. But I can definitely see how people are like, Drake, I don't know if he's disingenuous. Cause he kind of comes off as that guy, like, that guy that is always trying to be in the group, but isn't
Mhm.
necessarily in the group. You're talking about something, that guy comes up, oh, yeah, that was funny. And you're like, that's kind of how Drake comes off to me. But he's had enough time to make himself look cool because he has the money, he has the cachet, he has all these things. So now he's still that corny guy that wants to be part of the group, but he can now make it look a lot better.
Yeah, I see it.
So that kind of way
I
it
get
comes
you.
off kind of weird for me because a lot of the things that he does, I'm like you said, everything is memeable, everything is like all these things, and it's kind of like that's cute, but that's cute. You know what I mean? That's cute. That's all it is. That's cute. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in that realm of creating, so I don't like that. But you can definitely tell there's a team and a machine
Mm-hmm.
all behind this pop star. He's a pop star. He's not even a rapper. He's a pop star for sure.
Well,
So,
yeah,
uh, uh,
yeah.
you
Well,
know,
well, I'll say if I and they're not like I said to end the discussion. I'm not comparing either one, but
yeah, yeah, you can't.
when it comes to grading CLB, I gave it a solid 6.5, and that's comparing it to Drake's own works,
That would be like a C
right?
plus, right? Like a CC plus.
On a musical scale, yeah. And
Okay.
then when I go with Kanye, I give it a solid 7 because, like you said, like I feel like it was a lot. He could have gotten it down a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
sure, but I also think that it was a solid piece of work that it could have been expounded upon. He could have added some more rap elements too,
Yeah, yeah.
but he didn't. So, for me, it's a solid 7. They both have room for improvement on those fronts.
I think so. And maybe I'm coming from a place to where it's like we're producers without the resources and we're doing a lot of stuff. So I feel like
Mhm.
with the resources that they have,
They
maybe
could have
I
done
was
a
just
lot more.
expecting, yeah, I was expecting a lot more. It's like you said, like the way they did the rollout for Drake's album, R&B based lover boy. Like I'm thinking, okay, this dude's gonna come out with the R&B, I'll be sure, like some R&B, like some good shit.
Mhm.
And the same thing with Donda. Like, I think he actually was closer to how he presented his album. Like, it's gonna be it's a piece of meat. It's just like this is how I feel. This is what I'm feeling. This is the emotions I'm going through, and they're gonna be in track form.
Agreed.
I can't say that he didn't do that. He did that perfectly to a T. So if I had to grade them off of that, like he gets an A on that. But like you said, listability. Am I gonna play it again? Am I gonna come back to it? Am I gonna like research tracks? Am I gonna do like some work on it? Neither one of them probably. Like I don't know. I'll probably like
That part
listen
just
to some
depends on
tracks.
you personally
Right,
and the
like
mood you're
super
in.
subjective, super
Yeah.
subjective in the mood you're in. Right, like if I'm feeling away, I might go to Kanye because it's like a really moody album. It's
Mm-hmm.
like really emotional album. Like I felt a lot of things when I was driving around listening to it, and I was like, okay, I could see why he put this together. I just feel like he should have did more with it, like you said. And I'm like just feeling a little like disappointed by Drake a little bit. Um, Partially because I feel like this is an outside album and we're not outside fully yet. So it's not gonna get like the feel that it would. Cause like even with his last couple like playlists, we'll say, like More Life. More Life isn't like a good album for me, but it was released at a time where we were outside. It could get played
Mm-hmm.
outside, day
And it hits.
parties, at the beach. So it feels good. It has a feel to it. It has that outside feel. And Certified Lover Boy, I think most of the time, most of it has that kind of feel, but it's not going to get that play because we're not outside like that.
Uh,
So it's going to take some time for me to really digest it, really like sit with them and like see where I like them. But like after this weekend, and I typically actually skip the first couple weekends for a new artist just because I don't want that placebo effect of like how we felt like, oh, the build up of this, blah, 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 to play into how I listen to the music. But I couldn't really have a choice on this one. I couldn't let that pass up. But I think next time, I'll probably, since I was waiting so long for this Drake album and so long for this Kanye album, I'll probably give it like a week, 2 weeks, let everybody get their points, opinions, or whatever out and listen to none of it. That's actually why I didn't listen to the Joe Budden podcast this weekend because I love those dudes and I knew they would have a take on it, but I didn't want their take to in any way influence my take.
They had a take, but
Oh, I'm sure.
well, they
I'm
did
sure.
Kanye.
I'm sure.
They did purely Drake on Saturday's pod. And
Yeah.
granted, I had, like I said, I had already listened to the project multiple times, so I
Right.
wasn't really worried about it. But when I heard what a couple were saying, like, they kind of mirror what I was saying.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
and
can
what
see
I
that.
felt in the
I can see
moment.
that. I think I was just listening to it like, and also it depends how you listen to it, right? Like, are you listening to it as like a producer, like my producer ears, or am I listening to it as a consumer?
That as well, and I try to do both,
Yeah,
but it sometimes
it's
it
hard.
depends. Yeah,
I can't take my
yeah.
producer hat off, so it's hard. But if I actively focus on like which one I think consumers are going to go towards, I mean, it's obvious which one they're going to go towards, but typically I like that not obvious choice a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
and that would be Donda. But I don't know. There's just like a few things in the album that were so off-putting to me that I couldn't even click it over that one. So it's like, because I listened to Drake's album 3 times, like not even counting like our review situation where I listened to it twice. I listened to it one extra time. I listened to Donda twice, maybe because it was longer, but I didn't really feel like listening to it a third time.
I hear you.
I didn't feel like going back to like,
But then
except
again,
for off the grid. Like I've listened off the grid like probably 60 times since it came out.
that goes back to mood.
True, I'm in a good place right now. So Donda may not like speak to me super deeply like when his uh what was that, his last gospel album.
It's either yay or yeah.
Let
Should be
me
yay.
see. I'll give you the exact title right now. What was it? Oh, what the heck? Oh,
Or
there we
Jesus
go.
is King.
Jesus is King. There we
Yeah,
go.
Jesus is King.
Jesus is King. When that came out, I was in a different place. So I definitely felt that a lot more emotionally, spiritually, physically. I felt that album a lot more. And I heard the criticisms and I understand people's criticisms, but I just didn't feel that way about them. But this Donda, I feel like I'm not in that deep, dark place to really like vibe fully, thoroughly with this album. But I'm also on the flip side of that, not in that I don't have everything that I want to have. I'm not living that opulent luxury life to where I can certify lover boy either. Like I'm in the middle of both of them. So it's kind of interesting to hear them because they're completely different worlds and they're doing completely different things.
Mm-hmm.
And then people are trying to put them together. So I'm like, that doesn't really work musically. Like they don't really, it's
They
like
don't.
matching up like Action Bronson with fucking like, I don't know, ASAP Rocky. Like they don't do the same thing. And like verses, they wouldn't even work because
It
they
wouldn't
have
work.
different music. Right. So it's like, but this weekend was interesting. I think the whole OVO team, if you guys see this, I don't know if you will, add us to the team because we can help you out. But we thank you because you gave us something to talk about, something to listen to, you gave us more work, and you gave me some ideas to steal from my production. So I thank you. I'm just going to take it a little bit further because I don't have Drake, so I got to work a little bit harder. I'm okay with that. On the flip side, Kanye's team, I don't know who's on his team because it changes all the time, but you mentioned Consequence.
Mike Dean for sure.
Definitely Mike Dean, who's somebody who I'm trying to hunt down. I'm really trying to get next to him. But that's another conversation. Consequence is an amazing writer. He's not really good at picking his teeth, but he's a great writer, and I will give him that. I don't know who else is on Kanye's team, but like whoever's on his team that pulls him together and gets him to do what he does is an interesting person that I'd like to meet. Like his executive producers, I'd like to sit in a room with them and just pick their brains and see how they think. But shout out to them too, because they gave us something to talk about. Like, are either one of them trash? No. I think we both collectively feel like amongst everything else, like cipher everything else out, we just wanted more, basically, from both of them in different ways. Like I think I wanted more rappy rap Drake and more R&B. And I think for Kanye, I think I just wanted less songs because the rapping that he did surprised the hell out of me, and that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't need him to try to reproduce that more because I think the surprise of it was perfect. I just need less songs. I just need less songs or like more concise songs. Because I feel like I was traveling through his mind, which is cool. But as a producer, we have a lot of thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't organize them and put them down, it can get crazy when you're trying to explain to somebody. Right. You're trying to explain to somebody everything in your head, or like you're trying to explain to this rapper how you want them to hit it. If I can't explain to you how I want you to come higher or lower with your voice, or how I want you to be more aggressive, less aggressive, etc.,
it just
not
don't work.
translate.
Yeah.
Right. It's not gonna translate. And I think that's kind of a little bit more. I wanted somebody in the studio to talk shit to both of them and be like, no, go harder, push this harder, say this more, do this over, which is gonna be hard for both of them. But
Can't do that
they
with
need
either
that guy.
one of them.
They
Well,
need
I
that guy.
can't. Well. With I guess with that being said, you're Team Drake here, and I'm Team Ye
For this album, I guess so.
for
Because
these albums.
normally I would be Team Ye all the way. But
But for
fucking
this
Donda
one,
Chant, I messed up. I messed up myself.
Donda
I'll blame it
Chant.
on me.
I
Donda
told you in
Chant,
the text I skipped that one.
you did tell me that, and after you, it's funny because you texted me that after I had listened to it twice.
All
So
right.
yeah,
So let's go ahead and throw this out there real quick because I know we about to come up on time on this chat.
right.
Um, we're looking for artists,
Yeah,
looking for
all y'all,
particularly
all y'all.
independent artists.
Yep.
You want to send music in, there'll be an email on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
Also in the
Send it.
description, send your music through. If you want to be interviewed, send your music through. We're looking to listen. We're looking to find new artists. You know, there's a ton of new artists out here. And to be honest, I'm not going out here clicking on everybody's shit. So if you want to send some stuff through, send it through. We'll give it a listen. And we more than glad to have you on. More than glad to talk to you, see what your inspiration was like, see what happened during these songs.
That's basically it. Like, we just want to have y'all on. Like, y'all got music, slide it. We'll talk about it. You want to tell us something interesting about it? You know, you want to chat it up with us about like how you got to where you got to. If you want to give us a retort to our, review, because we're not perfect. We might have missed something, or you might just have something interesting. Let's make it a show. You know what I mean? Slide it to that email. It'll be at the bottom.
All right. With that being said, man, till next time.
Hey, very soon.